Hi, folks. We are back to reading Swami and Friends by R.K. Narayan. We have been reading this book for some time and we are on chapter 10, titled The Coachman's Son. It's a pretty long chapter, so I've had to take some breaks in reading it. We have come to the point in that chapter where Swami is telling the summary of what happened with the coachman. The coachman first took from Swami 6 paise, promising him, Swami is saying this, the coachman first took from me 6 paise, promising me the silver coins in 2 days. He took 6 paise, saying that in 2 days he will convert the coins into silver coins and give him 2 silver coins. He dodged me for 4 days and demanded 6 paise more, saying that he had to collect herbs for the 12 paise. He put me off again and took from me another 6 paise, saying that without it the whole process would fail. And after that, every time I went to him, he put me off with some excuse or the other. He often complained that owing to the weather, the process was going on rather slowly. And 2 days ago, he told me that he did not know me, nor or anything about my money. And now you know how he behaves. I don't mind the money, but I hate his boy, that dark rascal. He makes faces at me whenever he sees me, and he has threatened to empty a bucket full of drain water on my head. One day, he held up an open penknife. I want to thrash him. That will make his father give me back my 2 annas. So that is the place where it is, where Swami's money has been taken by the coachman, and Swami is aiming at the coachman's son. Next day, Swaminathan and Mani started for the coachman's house. So Swami has taken help of Mani to go to the coachman's house and to catch hold of the son and to thrash him. Swaminathan was beginning to regret that he had ever opened the subject before his friends. The affair was growing beyond his control, and considering the interest that Rajam and Mani displayed in the affair, one could not foresee where it was going to take them all. Rajam had formed a little plan to decoy and kidnap the coachman's son. Mani was his executive. He was to befriend the coachman's son. Swaminathan had very little part to play in the preliminary stages. His duty would cease with pointing out the coachman's house to Mani. The coachman lived a mile from Swaminathan's house, westward in Kilacheri, which consisted of about a dozen thatched huts and dingy hovels, smoke-tinted and evil-smelling, clustering together irregularly. They were now within a few yards of the place, and Swaminathan tried a last desperate chance to stop the wheel of vengeance. Money? I think the coachman's son has returned the money. What? You think so? Do you? Can you show me the money? So Swaminathan pleaded, leave him alone, please, Money. You don't know what troubles we shall get into by tampering with that boy. Shut up or I'll wring your neck, Money threatened. Oh, Money, the police or the boy himself. He is frightful, capable of anything. He had in his heart a great dread of the boy, and sometimes in the night would float up before him a face dark, dirty and cruel and make him shiver. It was the face of the coachman's son. He lives in the 3rd house, Swaminathan pointed out. At the last moment, Mani changed his plan and insisted that Swaminathan's following him to the coachman's house. So Mani said Swaminathan should follow him to the coachman's house. Swaminathan sat down in the road as a protest, but Mani was stubborn. He dragged Swaminathan along till they came before the coachman's house, then started shouting at him. Money, money, what's the matter? You son of a donkey, Mani roared at Swaminathan and swung his hand to strike him. Swaminathan began to cry. Mani attempted to strangle him. A motley crowd gathered around them. Urchins with prodigious bellies, women of dark aspect, and their men. Scurvy chickens cackled and ran hither and thither. The sun was unsparing. 2 or 3 mongrels lay in the shade of a tree and snored. A general malodor of hencoop and unwashed clothes pervaded the place. And now from the hovel that Swaminathan had pointed out as the coachman's emerged a little man of 3 feet or so, ill-clad and unwashed. He pushed his way through the crowd and, securing a fine place, sucked his thumb and watched the fight in rapture. Mani addressed the crowd indignantly, pointing at Swaminathan. That this urchin, I don't know who he is, all of a sudden demands 2 annas from me. I have never seen him before. He says I owe him that money. So Mani continued in this strain for 15 minutes. At the end of it, the coachman's son took the thumb out of his mouth and remarked, he must be sent to the jail. At this, Mani bestowed an approving smile upon that boy and asked, will you help me carry him to the police station? No, said the coachman's son, being afraid of police stations himself. Mani asked, how do you know that he must be taken to the police station? I know it. Does he ever trouble you similarly? Asked Mani. No, said the boy. Where is the 2 annas that your father took from me? Asked Swaminathan, turning to the boy his tear-drenched face. The crowd had meanwhile melted after making half-hearted attempts to bring peace. Mani asked the boy suddenly, do you want this top? He held a shining red top. The boy put out his hand for the top. Mani said, I can't give it to you. If you come with me, I'll give you a bigger one. Let us become friends. The boy had no objection. Won't you let me see it? He asked. Mani gave it to him. The boy turned it in his hand twice or thrice and in the twinkling of an eye disappeared from the place. Mani took time to grasp the situation. The boy had run away with the toy. When Mani did grasp the situation, he saw the boy entering a hovel far off. He started after him. When Mani reached the hovel, the door was closed. Mani knocked a dozen times before a surly man appeared and said that the boy was not there. The door was shut again. Mani started knocking again. 2 or 3 menacing neighbors came round and threatened to bury him alive if he dared to trouble them in their own locality. Swaminathan was desperately appealing to Mani to come away, but it took a great deal more to move him. He went on knocking. The neighbors took up their positions a few yards off with handfuls of stones and woke the dogs sleeping under the tree. It was only when the dogs came bouncing towards them that Mani shouted, run, to Swaminathan, and he set an example himself. Mani ran off. A couple of stones hit Swaminathan on the back. 1 or 2 hit Mani also. A sharp stone skinned Mani's right heel. They became blind and insensible to everything except the stretch of road before them. So they had to run away from there. So that's the end of chapter 10. And now we are moving on to chapter 11. Chapter 11, In Father's Presence. During summer, Malgudi was one of the, let me see how long, oh God, these chapters are long. And this one is very long. Oh, God. Well, I think I'll take my time to read it. Let me start. During summer, Malgudi was one of the most detested towns in South India. Sometimes the heat went above 110 in the shade. And between 12 and 3 any day in summer, The dusty, blanched roads were deserted. Every day between 12 and 3, nobody dared come out. Even donkeys and dogs, the most vagrant of animals, preferred to move to the edge of the street, where catwalks and minor projections from the buildings, cast a sparse strip of shade when the fierce sun tilted towards the west. But there is this peculiarity about heat. It appears to affect only those that think of it. Swaminathan, Mani, and Rajam would have been surprised if anybody had taken the trouble to prove to them that the Malgudi sun was unbearable. They found the noon and the afternoon the most fascinating part of the day. The same sun that beat down on the head of Mr. Hentel, the mill manager, and drove him to Kodaikanal, or on the turban of Mr. Krishnan, the executive engineer, and made him complain that his profession was one of the hardest, compelling him to wander in sun and storm, beat down on Swaminathan's curly head, Mani's tough matted hair, and Rajam's short, wiry crop, and left them unmoved. The same sun that baked the earth so much that even Mr. Reddy, the most Indianized of the Europeans, who owned a rice mill in the deserted bungalow outside town. He was, by the way, the mystery man of the place. Nobody could say who he was or where he had come from. He swore at his boy and at his customers in perfect Tamil and always moved about in shorts and sandaled feet. Screamed one day when he forgetfully took a step or two barefoot. The same sun made the three friends loath to remain under a roof. Let me read that again. The same sun that baked the earth so much that even Mr. Reddy, the most Indianized of the Europeans, who owned a rice mill in the deserted bungalow outside the town, screamed one day when he forgetfully took a step or two barefoot, and because even that Reddy found that the sun was so hot that it burnt scalded his feet. They were sitting on a short culvert half a mile outside the municipal limits on the trunk road. A streak of water ran under the culvert on a short stretch of sand and mingled with the Sarayu farther down. There was no tree where they sat, and the sun struck their heads directly. On the sides of the roads there were paddy fields, but now all that remained was scorched stubble, vast stretches of stubble, relieved here and there by the clustering groves of mango or coconut. The trunk road was deserted but for an occasional country cart lumbering along. I wish you had done just what I had asked you to do and nothing more, said Rajam to Mani. Swaminathan complained, Yes, Rajam, I just showed him the coachman's son was about to leave him just as we had planned when all of a sudden he tried to murder me. He shot an angry glance at Mani. Mani was forlorn. Boys, I admit that I'm an idiot. I thought I could do it all by the plan that came to my mind on the spot. If I had only held the top firmly, I could have decoyed him, and by now he would have been howling in a lonely shed. There was regret in his tone. Swaminathan said, nursing his nape, It is still paining here, you hurt me. After the incident at Kilacheri, it took 3 hours of continuous argument for Mani to convince Swaminathan that the attack on him was only sham. You needn't have been so brutal to Swami, said Rajam. Sure, Mani said, folding his hands. I shall stand on my head for 10 minutes if you want me to do it as a punishment. I only pretended to scratch Swami to show the coachman's boy that I was his enemy. A jingling was now heard. A close mat-covered cart drawn by a white bullock was coming down the road. When it had come within a yard of the culvert, they rose, advanced, stood in a row, and shouted, "Pull up the animal, will you?" The cart driver was a little village boy. "Stop the cart, you fool!" cried Rajam. "If he does not stop, we shall arrest him and confiscate his cart," said Swaminathan. The cart driver said, "Boys, why do you stop me?" "Don't talk," Mani commanded, and with a serious face went round the cart and examined the wheels. He bent down and scrutinized the bottom of the cart. "Hey, cartman, get down." "Boys, I must go," pleaded the driver. "Whom do you address as boys?" asked Rajam menacingly. "Don't you know who we are? We are the government police, out to catch humbugs like you," added Swaminathan. "I shall shoot you if you say a word," said Rajam to the young driver. Though the driver was incredulous, he felt that there must be something in what they said. Mani tapped the wheel and said, "The culvert is weak. We can't let you go over it unless you show us the pass." The cart driver jabbered, "Please, please, sirs, let me. I have to be there." "Shut up," Rajam commanded. Swaminathan examined the animal and said, "Come here." The cart driver was loath to get down. Mani dragged him from his seat and gave him a push towards Swaminathan. Swaminathan scowled at him and pointing at the sides of the animal, asked, "Why have you not washed the animal, you blockhead?" The villager replied timidly, "I have washed the animal, sir." "But why is this here?" Swaminathan asked, pointing at a brown patch. "Oh, that, the animal has had it since birth, sir." "Birth? Are you trying to teach me?" Swaminathan shouted and raised his leg to kick the cart driver. They showed signs of relenting. "Give the rascal a pass and be done with him," Rajam conceded graciously. Swaminathan took out a pencil stub and a grubby pocketbook that he always carried about him on principle. It was his habit to note down all sorts of things: the number of cycles that passed him, the number of people going barefoot, the number going with sandals, and so on and so forth. He held the paper and pencil ready. Mani took hold of the rope of the bullock, pushed it back, and turned it the other way around. The cart driver protested, but Mani said, "Don't worry, it has got to stand here. This is the boundary." "I have to go this way, sir." "You can turn it round and go. Don't worry." "What is your name?" asked Rajam. "Karpan," answered the boy. Swaminathan took it down. "Age?" "I don't know, sir." You don't know? You don't know your age?" "Swami, write 100, said Rajam. No, sir, I'm not 100. Mind your business and hold your tongue. You're 100. I'll kill you if you say no. What is your bullock's name?" "I don't know, sir." "Swami, write Karpan again." "Sir, what is my name? Sir, that is my name, not the bullock's." They ignored it, and Swami wrote Karpan against the name of the bullock. "Where are you going?" "Setur." Swaminathan wrote it down. "How long will you stay there?" "It is my place, sir." "If that is so, what brought you here?" "Our headman sent 10 bags of coconut to the railway shed." Swaminathan entered every word in this notebook. Then all the three signed the page, tore it off, gave it to the cart driver, and permitted him to start. Much to Swaminathan's displeasure, his father's courts closed in the second week of May, and father began to spend the afternoon at home. Swaminathan feared that it might interfere with his afternoon rambles with Rajam and Mani, and it did. On the very third day of his vacation, father commanded Swaminathan just as he was stepping out of the house, "Swami, come here." Father was standing in the small courtyard wearing a dhoti and a banyan, the dress which, for its very homeliness, Swaminathan detested to see him in. It indicated that he did not intend going out in the near future. "Swami, where are you going?" "Nowhere." "Where were you yesterday at this time?" Here, you are lying. You were not here yesterday, and you are not going out now. That is right, mother said, just appearing from somewhere. There is no limit to his loafing in the sun. He'll die of sunstroke if he keeps on like that. Father would have gone on even without mother's encouragement, but now her words spurred him to action. Swaminathan was asked to follow him to his room, in his father's dressing room. How many days is it since you have touched your books? Father asked as he blew off the fine layer of dust on Swaminathan's books, cleared the web that an industrious spider was weaving between a corner of the table and the pile of books. Swaminathan viewed this question as a gross breach of promise. Should I read even when I have no school? Do you think you have passed BA? Father asked. I mean, Father, when the school is closed, then there is no examination. Even then, should I read? What a question you must have. You must read. But Father, you said before the examination that I needn't read after they were over. Even Rajam does not read. As he uttered the last sentence, he tried to believe it. He clearly remembered Rajam's complaining bitterly of a home tutor who came and pestered him for 2 hours a day, thrice a week. Father was apparently deaf to Swaminathan's remarks. He stood over Swaminathan and set him to dust his books and clean his table. Swaminathan vigorously started blowing off the dust from the book covers. He caught the spider carefully and took it to the window to throw it out. He held it outside the window and watched it for a while. It was swinging from a strand that gleamed in 100 delicate tins. Look sharp, do you want a whole day to throw out that spider? Father asked him. Swaminathan suddenly realized that he might have the spider as his pet and that it would be a criminal waste to throw it out. He secretly slipped it into his pocket, and after shaking an empty hand outside the window, returned to his duty at the desk. Look at the way you have kept your English textbook. Are you not ashamed of yourself? Swaminathan picked up the oily red-bound fourth reader, opened it and banged together the covers in order to shake off the dust, and then rubbed it violently the oily covers with his palm. Get a piece of cloth, boy. That's not the way to clean things. Get a piece of cloth, Swami, Father said, half kindly and half impatiently. Swaminathan looked about and complained. I can't find any here, Father. Run and see. This was a welcome suggestion. Swaminathan hurried out. He first went to his grandmother's. Granny, give me a piece of cloth, quick. Where am I to go for a piece of cloth? Asked grandmother. Where am I to go? Asked Swaminathan peevishly, and added quite irrelevantly. If one has to read even during holidays, I don't see why holidays are given at all. What is the matter? This was the opportunity to earn some sympathy. He almost wept as he said, I don't know what Rajam and Mani will think, waiting for me there if I keep on fooling here. Granny, if Father cannot find any work to do, why shouldn't he go and sleep? Why shouldn't he go and sleep? Father shouted across the hall, Did you find the cloth? Swaminathan answered, Granny hasn't got it. I shall see if Mother has. His mother was sitting in the back corridor on a mat with the baby sleeping on her lap. Swaminathan glared at her. Her advice to her husband a few minutes ago rankled in his heart. You are a fine lady, Mother, he said in an undertone. Why don't you leave us poor folk alone? What? She asked, unconscious of the sarcasm and having forgotten what she had said to her husband a few minutes ago. You needn't have gone and carried tales against me. I don't know what I have done to you. He would have enjoyed prolonging this talk, but Father was waiting for the duster. Can you give me a piece of cloth? He asked, coming to business. What cloth? What cloth? How should I know? It seems I have got to tidy up those books of mine. A fine way of spending the holidays. I can't get any now. You can't you? He looked about. There was a piece of cloth under the baby. In a flash, he stooped, rolled the baby over, pulled out the cloth, and was off. He held his mother responsible for all these troubles, and disturbing the baby and snatching his cloth gave him a great relief. With a fierce satisfaction, he tilted the table and tipped all the things on it over the floor, and then picked them up one by one and arranged them on the table. Father watched him. Is this how you arrange things? You have kept all the things, all the light things at the bottom and the heavy things on top. Take out those notebooks, keep the atlas at the bottom. Mother came in with the baby in her arms and complained to the father. Look at that boy, he has taken the baby's cloth. Is there nobody to control him in this house? I wonder how long this school is going to be kept closed. Swaminathan continued his work with the concentrated interest. Father was pleased to ignore mother's complaint. He merely pinched the sleeping baby's cheeks, at which mother was annoyed and left the room. Half an hour later, Swaminathan sat in his father's room in a chair with a slate in his hand and pencil ready. Father held the arithmetic book open and dictated. Rama has 10 mangoes with which he wants to earn 15 annas. Krishna wants only 4 mangoes. How much will Krishna have to pay? Swaminathan gazed and gazed at this sum, and every time he read it, it seemed to acquire a new meaning. He had the feeling of having stepped into a fearful maze. His mouth began to water at the thought of mangoes. He wondered what made Rama fix 15 annas for 10 mangoes. What kind of man was Rama? Probably he was like Shankar. Somehow one couldn't help feeling that he must have been like Shankar, with his 10 mangoes and his iron determination to get 15 annas. If Rama was like Shankar, Krishna must have been like P. Here Swaminathan felt an unaccountable sympathy for Krishna. Have you done the sum? Father asked. Oh, this boy has forgotten the sum. Have you done the sum? Father asked, looking over the newspaper he was reading. Father, will you tell me if the mangoes were ripe? Father regarded him for a while and, smothering a smile, remarked, do the sum first. I'll tell you whether the fruits were ripe or not afterwards. Swaminathan felt utterly helpless. If only Father could tell him whether Rama was trying to sell ripe fruits or unripe ones. Of what avail would it be to tell him afterwards? He felt strongly that the answer to this question contained the key to the whole problem. It would be scandalous to expect 15 annas for 10 unripe mangoes. But even if he did, it wouldn't be unlike Rama, whom Swaminathan was steadily beginning to hate and invest with the darkest qualities. Father, I cannot do this sum, Swaminathan said, pushing away the slate. What is the matter with you? You can't solve a simple problem in simple proportion. We are not this kind of thing in our school. Get the slate here. I will make you give the answer now. Swaminathan waited with interest for the miracle to happen. Father studied the sum for a second and asked, what is the price of 10 mangoes? Swaminathan looked over the sum to find out which part of the sum contained an answer to his question. I don't know. You seem to be an extraordinary idiot. Now read the sum. Come on, how much does Rama expect for 10 mangoes? 15 annas, of course. Swaminathan thought. But how could that be the price? Just price. It was very well for Rama to expect it in his average, but was it the right price? And then there was the obscure point whether mangoes were ripe or not. If they were ripe, 15 annas might not be an improbable price. If only he could get more light on this point. How much does Rama want for his mangoes? Asked the father. 15 annas, replied Swaminathan without conviction. Very good. How many mangoes does Krishna want? 4. What is the price of 4? Father seemed to delight in torturing him. How could he know? How could he know what that fool Krishna would pay? Look here, boy. I have half a mind to thrash you. What have you in your head? 10 mangoes cost 15 annas. What's the price of one? Come on. If you don't say it. His hand took Swaminathan's ear and gently twisted it. Swaminathan could not open his mouth because he could not decide whether the solution lay in the realm of addition, subtraction, multiplication, or division. The longer he hesitated, the more violent the twist was becoming. In the end, when father was waiting with a scowl for an answer, he received only a squeal from his son. I'm not going to leave you till you tell me how much a single mango costs at 15 annas for 10. What was the matter with father? Swaminathan kept blinking. Where was the urgency to know its price? Anyway, if father wanted so badly to know, instead of harassing him, let him go to the market and find out. The whole brood of Ramas and Krishnas, with their endless transactions, with odd quantities of mangoes and fractions of money, were getting disgusting. Father admitted defeat by declaring one mango costs 15 over 10 annas. Simplify it. Here he was being led to the most hideous regions of arithmetic fractions. Give me the slate. Give me the slate, father. I will find out, said Swaminathan. He worked and found at the end of 15 minutes the price of mango is 3 over 2 annas. He expected to be contradicted any moment. But father said, very good, simplify it further. It was plain sailing after that. Swaminathan announced at the end of a half an hour's agony, Krishna must pay 6 annas and promptly burst into tears. So that was up to that. Now the chapter is not over. There is still a long time. I think this is an interesting chapter. So we will continue it next time. Thank you. See you. Bye.